All right, number one on 3.2 homework tells us that a small bookshelf is 8/12 yard long. How many books can fit on a shelf if the width of each book is 1/24 yard? So each book is this long. How many of these fit into this? And we're going to explain. An explanation is a great way, like showing your work, to do that. So what do we have? We have a bookshelf that is 8/12 yard long. And I want to divide it into groups of 1/24. Now, 12 divided by 24 is not going to give me a nice whole number. So that's where that multiplicative inverse is going to come in. Copy, dot, flop. So we copy, change it to a multiply, opposite of divide, and flip the second one, use the reciprocal of the second one. And you've got to make sure you do it in that order. So 24 over 1. Now I can see here, I can simplify. So I'm going to take the chance to do that and make my work way easier than doing 8 times 24. So can you think of a number that goes into 12 and 24? 12 goes into both of those, 1 time and 2 times. So now I can do my problem, multiply, and simplify. So explaining, I am great if you will show me the steps in your process. Number 2 tells us that Isabella owns a rectangular lot. So I'm going to draw myself a picture here. And the total area is 932 square miles. So you've got that there. The length of the west side, so northeast, southwest, is 3/4 of a mile. It wants to know what is the length of the north side, right? And if I know this side, I know the east is this. I know the south will be the same since it's a rectangle. So we need to figure out the length of the north side. I'm actually going to skip down to part B because it's going to walk me through what I need to do. So to find the area of a rectangle, we do length times width, and that equals the area of a rectangle. Now I have the area and I have the width. So I really have length, I don't know, times 3/4 equals the area is 9/32. So I want to work backwards and take the total area, which is, so my total is 9/32. That was a very terrible 9/32. And I want to divide it by what I know, which is 3/4. And that's going to give me that other side. So now I do notice that 9 and 3 and 32 and 4 are going to make nice whole numbers. So you can either divide and then simplify, or you can copy, dot, flop and use the multiplicative inverse if you'd rather multiply. So either way, doing this division problem or using the multiplicative inverse will tell us how long the north and south sides are. All right, number 3 is we are going to write down other methods for finding this problem here. So we're going to look and see how are some ways that we could do this problem. So I'm just going to think, before I even look at other answers, I want to know, what do I think? I could do 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. So this equals 1/2. If I have 3/8 and I cut it into 3/4, then I really only have half of what I started with. I could also use the multiplicative inverse, copy, dot, flop. My 3's cancel out to 1's. My 4 turns into 1. My 8 turns into 2 because 4 is a factor of 8 and 4. 1/2. Look, same answer. So I could use the multiplicative inverse. They just didn't cancel their numbers, right? They did 12/24 and simplified it to 1/2. I did my work ahead of time. And we could also just straight up divide here, and we have that. They turn them into common denominators, but either way, you could get 1/2. Okay, number 4 tells us that when 9/10 is divided by 2/5, is the quotient going to be greater than or less than 1? How do we know this? So I am taking 9/10. That is almost a whole number. It's almost 1. And I'm dividing it by 2/5, which is less than 1/2. I'm taking a bigger number and cutting it into smaller pieces. So now I'm going to have more pieces, right? If I have 1 candy bar and I cut it into smaller pieces, now I have more pieces. It's the same candy bar, but now I have more than 1 piece of the candy bar. So when we take a big number divided by a small number, we get more than 1. So the quotient, this one, we took a bigger number and divided it by a smaller number. So we're going to have more than 1 group. If we flip that and we take a little number and divide it by a big number, we're going to have less than 1 because we don't have enough to even make a whole group, right? So if I said I have 3 apples and I'm trying to divide them into groups of 4, I don't even have enough to make 1 whole group. That would be less than 1. So you've got to think about big divided by little gives you bigger answers because you're cutting it into smaller pieces. But if you're taking a smaller number and cutting it into bigger pieces, you don't even have enough to make a whole thing. So you're going to have a less than 1 answer. So see if you can use that information to answer that question there. Hey, number 5 asks us to find the reciprocal. So remember, the reciprocal means that we're just doing the opposite. So 8/7. A reciprocal, when we multiply, gives us 1. So look, 8 times 7 is 56. 8 times 7 is 56. 56 divided by 56 is 1. So the reciprocal of 7/8 is 8/7. So that's the only one of those problems that I am going to do. So you can use that information to do 6, 7, or 8. Okay, and then 9 through 17, I'm going to pick 3 of these problems to go through with you, but it's the same steps every time using that multiplicative inverse if you don't have nice factors of each other. So the first one I'm going to do is number 10. So 9 and 4 are not going to give me a nice number here. So it's going to be a lot easier to use the multiplicative inverse and multiply. So 9/2 divided by, copy, because I already wrote down the problem, and dot, I'm going to multiply by 10/4. Now, I want to see if there's anything I can do to make this problem easier. Is there a number that goes into 9 and 4? No. What about 10 and 2? Yes, they're both even. So 2 goes in there 1 time and 5 times. 9 times 5 is 45. 1 times 4 is 4. And now I want to simplify. So 4 goes in here 11 whole times, which is 44. So to get from 44 to 45 is 1 more with a 4th left over. Big divided by little gives me more than 1 whole piece. So I broke it up smaller. Okay, the next one let's look at is number 11. So 3/14 divided by 2/6. So these are not going to give me nice factors here. So I'm going to use the multiplicative inverse. Copy, dot, flop. So let's see. So 3 and 2 can't reduce, but 6 and 14 are both even. So I can divide them by 2, which gives me 3 and 7. 3 times 3 is 9. 7 times 2 is 14. Nothing goes into 9 and 14, so that is my simplified answer. So this time we had a smaller number, 3/14. It's only 3 out of 14 pieces, and I divided it by something that was bigger, so we can't even make one whole group. We only have a little more than half of that group. All right, and the last one I'm going to do with you is number 16. So here we want to remember to put 20 over 1 and make it improper. And these are not going to give me nice factors, so I want to use the multiplicative inverse. Copy, dot, and flop. Now, 1's already simplified. I'm not going to get that any smaller. But I can make 20 and 15 divisible both by 5, which goes in there 3 times and 4 times. So now I just need to do 4 times 16 is 64 over 3. And then I want to finish my problem by doing 64 divided by 3. So I don't know that off the top of my head. So I'm going to do the division problem. This line means to divide. So that goes in there 2 times, which is 6. Bring down the 4, goes in there 1 time. So it goes in there 21 whole times. And then there are 1 out of, what did I divide by? 3 left over. So this was a big number divided by little. So we can make 21 wholes and another third of that. So as you're choosing other ones to do from that page, think about what you need to do. Use that multiplicative inverse is probably the easiest way for most of these. Copy the first one, dot, flip for the reciprocal, the second one, copy, dot, flop, simplify, multiply.